Good morning. I'd like to call the December 11th Solid Waste Authority Board meeting to order. And with that, I'd like Clerk to take roll call, please.
Commissioner Weiss?
Here?
Commissioner Bernard?
Here.
Commissioner Valashay?
Here.
Mayor Kerner? Commissioner Berger? Here. Commissioner McKinley? Vice Mayor Weinroth? We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd now like to ask our Executive Director, Dan Pelowitz, to lead us in our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Lord, we are meeting here today to conduct matters of business for our community. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next is our agenda. Any additions or deletions?
There are no additions or deletions, but we have provided you with some supplemental information related to item 9D1, the grants. We've provided you with a map of your commission districts. We've provided you with a tally sheet that we're going to use with a spreadsheet if the board wishes to identify, to kind of keep track of the recommended grant awards, and that should be helpful.
Thank you very much. All right. We have, do we need to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
So we have a motion to accept the agenda by Commissioner McKinley and seconded by Commissioner Berger. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next, minutes. We have our minutes from our regular meeting on October 16th. Any corrections? Or if not, a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 16th and the November 19th meeting.
We have a motion by Commissioner McKinley and Commissioner Bernard to accept the minutes of both the October 16th, 2019 regular meeting and October 16th and November 19th special meeting. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Great. Next will be the minutes of the Citizens Advisory Committee from December the 4th to receive and file.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
And so we have a motion to receive and file by Commissioner Berger and seconded by Commissioner McKinley. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, moving on to our consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull any of the items off the consent agenda? Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Bernard to approve the consent agenda and seconded by Commissioner Berger. All in favor? Any opposed? That also passes unanimously. Good. Next would be matters by the public. Do we have any cards? If not, does anybody wish to be heard this morning? Seeing none. All right. Next, we have nothing in our public hearing workshop. We have no old business. New business. Executive Director Pelowitz?
Nothing, thank you.
Howard, Mr. Falcon, Legal Counsel?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Operations?
No items.
Thank you. And moving on, Customer Information Services, Mr. Archambault?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is our Blighted Grant Program. We're in our 5th year. This grant has nearly provided $3 million to our governmental partners in an effort to reduce blight throughout the county. the board approved $750,000 in the budget for the 2020 grant program. This was a record year. We received 14 applications requesting $2.1 million of that $750,000. And again, this was our best year ever for this grant program. At this point, you all received copies of all the applications to review. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, I'm looking at the first three items, the one for the City of South Bay, and seeing that the City of South Bay has never received any of those grants, this would be one item that, I believe that we should support. And I know the second one, also Village of Palm Springs, that's never received any funding, and also the town of Lake Clark Shores. So, in my opinion, I just think that it would be prudent for us to approve those three, since they haven't received any funding so far.
You guys made a recommendation.
We didn't recommend any, we didn't have a list.
Okay, anybody else have any comments? I'm sorry, Commissioner Valachet.
Thank you. So, Mr. Archambault, is the real intent of this to demolish property and remove them? Because I noticed there was several that are really demolition projects, and several that are moving houses or clearing brush. But to me, removing blight means removing the symptom of blight, which is an old and dilapidated building. Is that, and that's the way I looked at these. I favored the projects that had a demolition component.
Yes, the intent of the program was to demolish or remove structures, pay for the disposal cost, and have a benefit for the community after the project was completed.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Mr. Pelowitz.
Yes, I just wanted to kind of introduce you to what's on your screen right now. We put this spreadsheet together to try to help come to a consensus and conclusion on which ones the board wanted to fund. So what we'll be doing throughout this process is if one of you or one of the board members identifies a project that they support, we're going to put a 1 in the spot here, and we'll keep track of that. So ultimately, in the end, if you want to do it this way, you'll see what support there is for each of these proposals, and you'll see a dollar value at the bottom. And I just want to introduce right now, I know in the past, we have established a budget, and we've gone over some from time to time. I just want to let you know that we do have the ability to go up a little bit if we need to. I would propose that, an additional 100,000 is something we could do if it's the board's desire to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
In the spirit of what Commissioner Valachet mentioned, since if he said that, demolition is one of the key items that, this is supposed to be used for, what we should do is just take a look at all the demolition projects, and then for us to kind of weigh whether or not we want to fund most of the demolition projects. And so let's go into, and item 1, which is the City of South Bay, which is for $264,000. Item 3, which is the town of Lake Clark Shores for $29,871. Item 6 is the Lake Worth Beach CRA, which is a demolition project for $16,780. Item 9, which is the Boynton Beach CRA, of a demolition for $95,450. And then the final demolition project, which is item 14, for $300,000. So these are the 5 items that are demolition projects that I'd love for us to total and see if that.
It's $706,141.80.
706,000?
Yep, so we still have some more we can, out of our 750.
I know
Is there
for me.
agreement? Let me just ask.
I'm trying to speak, but I don't think these are working.
Sorry.
We just had to turn it on. You guys shut off somehow.
It was me.
Alrighty.
Okay, I'm sorry. Commissioner McKinley, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Bernard, I agree with you. I just wanted to speak on behalf of the City of South Bay and the City of Pahokee projects. I'd like to thank the city manager from South Bay, Leandre Campbell, for being here with us this morning, and I'm sure he could answer questions if we had anything specific. This particular project, not only is it their first time submitting, the City of South Bay and the City of Pahokee, neither one of them have a CRA. So this is a very important revenue source for them. This particular project in South Bay has been submitted as a legislative appropriation request by Representative Tina Polsky. They are seeking funding from the legislature to construct a community center on this site. The demolition dollars, along with the value of the land, would go a long way in being able to show the state that the local government is doing its part. So this would be a really good show that the city and the county are working together and perhaps bump up that legislative request a little bit. The City of Pahokee's project, I support. I know there had been when I met with staff, they were recommending 250 of the 300. I would really ask that we support the $300,000 request. This site right now is has received a letter of, a letter from USDA authorizing a $1.5 million grant and a $1.5 million low-interest loan for rural farm worker housing. Part of what the city has offered to the potential developer of this site is assistance in demolition of the old hospital structure. Before you came on the board, the City of Pahokee had put forward a request a number of years ago seeking to demolish this dilapidated structure. At that time, the city was not in ownership of the site. Our code enforcement department worked with the city, and we were able to get that into foreclosure, and the city then came in ownership of the property, and they have been trying to market that property for a public benefit project. So this, and the idea that it would provide housing, rural housing and farm worker housing, is certainly a priority that matches what the Board of County Commissioners' priorities are, and would just ask that you support this project as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Since we've only allocated $706,000, I would recommend that we add the Palm Springs item number 2, the Foxtel Park project, for $71,864. Since the village has never received any dollars, and that would probably take us to above the 750.
It takes us to 778,006. So slightly above. All right. Is there anyone else? Commissioner Kerner, or Mayor Kerner?
No, I'm actually in agreement with what's presented here before me, 778,000, if that was doable by the executive director.
Yes, it is.
All right. So is anybody else like to make any recommendations or suggestions? If not, can we?
So motion to approve the items.
You want to see that?
No, I've got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion to approve, and just to review, this would be to approve the grant request for South Bay of $264,000, Palm Springs for $72,000, Lake Clark Shores for $29,000. This would be the Lake Worth Beach CRA for $16,780. We've got the Boynton Beach CRA demolition for $95,450, and then last would be the Pahokee Hospital demolition for $300,000.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that motion, and just for the clerks, he rounded some of those numbers, but I would just say as presented on the sheet.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Bernard and a second by Commissioner McKinley. All in favor? Any opposed? Carries unanimously. And also let the record show that Mayor Kerner has joined us as well. All right, next, I think we're back to you, Mr. Archambault.
Yes, thank you very much. What we have now is an amendment to the current collection contract. Excuse me. As you know, we went from manual to automated collection. All of our residents received a cart. It was a mass distribution of about 200,000 carts. We did our best to accommodate all communities and customers. We weren't going to do any exchanges for the first 90 days. However, we had residents that called and expressed a concern, saying they were unable to maneuver their cart. So we went ahead and provided the smaller cart. And as we now are getting into November, we're still receiving requests. There's nothing in the current contract, how we do these exchanges or who pays for the exchanges. So what you have before you is an amendment of $82 per cart. The haulers would take that responsibility. That would include contacting the resident, scheduling the exchange, delivering the smaller cart, collecting their current cart, pressure cleaning, taking the lids off and the wheels off, and finding storage. So we feel that that's a very fair rate. We've looked at it at the $82. We would start November 1st, and if you look at November 1st through to date, it's about $55,000 in cost. It's not really a budget impact at this time. And if there was a budget concern or impact, we're hopefully this slows down tremendously in the next couple months, but if there is, we could address it at next year's budget. At this time, if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Yes. Commissioner Valashay, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yesterday you said there's a danger, of this snowballing out of control. And I know you said it's also very difficult to turn down individual requests. But if this does get out of hand, where, we're replacing 50% of the bins that are out there, what do we do? I mean, should we cap this and tell people they have until X date? And if you don't make the application by that date, do you have any thoughts on that? Because it stayed with me that, it makes a lot of sense to me. If somebody sees their neighbor getting one and it seems more convenient, they probably would want one too.
Yes, and at this time, like I said, we hope that we don't have a lot of exchanges. We hope that most people like their new cart, and once they own it and have it, that they would want to keep that cart. And this is basically for those that are physically challenged to maneuver their current cart. If it does get out of hand, we would have to come back to the board at a certain time and address that. And we do have every year 70 cents a month administrative cost the authority charges, so that could be impacted 10 to 20 cents to make up the revenue if we do run into a certain situation as you suggested.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, the only thing I'd like to say is that I live in the city of West Palm Beach, and we made this conversion it's been a few years ago, and some people did opt to exchange their carts to the smaller one, but the vast majority, at least of the carts that I see when I'm driving around the city, they kept them because they appreciated having that additional capacity when they needed it. So if it works like it did in the city, I think initially there were a few people, and you see the carts on the street, but the vast majority of them kept their large carts. So hopefully that's how it's going to happen here. With that, would somebody like to make a motion?
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Kerner and seconded by Mayor Kerner, seconded by Commissioner Bernard, to approve item number 2, amendment number 1 to the Solid Waste Recycling Collection Services contract. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
With that, new business. Mr. Kari?
No items, thank you.
All right. Planning, Ms. Morrison?
No, nothing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And financial management, Mr. Dumars?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. I don't believe there's any other scheduled matters. Any comments by our general counsel?
Well, yes, I'd like to wish the board, staff, and public happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, etc.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's why there was the et cetera.
And comments by the authority staff, any?
Yes, I'd just like to acknowledge the accomplishments of our finance department. Last week, we went up to New York City and we collected the Bond Buyer Southeast Deal of the Year Award for our bond issue that the board approved back in February. This was a very unique bond issue. This was a convertible or Cinderella-type bond where it was initially issued as taxable with the Bank of America, convertible to tax-exempt on the call date. This was the unique aspect of this that was recognized is that recently tax law changes eliminated the ability of governments to advance refund on a tax-exempt basis. And this was a way to effectively advance refund the bonds, lock in an interest rate early, and take advantage of those savings. It was a really big accomplishment to get this award. It's important to the authority and to the public because this type of recognition helps the authority in marketing bonds in the future, creates greater reception to the authority and greater name recognition for the Solid Waste Authority in the bond market and with the institutional investors who buy our bonds. And that, for the public, results in lower rates and lower borrowing rates. So that's really important. Just one other note on the loss of the ability to advance refund. It's a significant impact on government like the authority. All of our facilities are expensive. They're financed with debt on a tax-exempt basis. The ability to advance refund on a tax-exempt basis is important because it eliminates the need to try to time infrastructure spending to when interest rates are low, because it gives you the ability to refund when interest rates become more favorable at a future date and lower the cost of the project. And generally speaking, state and local government is responsible for about 75% of infrastructure spending. And when we talk a lot about the need to improve the infrastructure in this country, it's a shame that the people who are actually going out and doing that, like the authority, the hurdles are being placed in front of us in terms of the ability to lower our cost of borrowing and provide value to our ratepayers. So I would simply ask that when you all are around at the National Association of Counties or Florida Association of Counties, that an effort be put in place to potentially reinstate the ability to advance refund tax-exempt debt, because it's a benefit to us, it's a benefit to our ratepayers, and I think it's important. Thank you. And other than that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you, sir. All right, comments by the board. I'll start over to my left. Commissioner Valashay?
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Mayor Kerner?
Thank you, Chairman, and happy holidays to all. Just a quick question, sorry to bring it up in comments, but it brought up an interesting point with the larger bins. I've noticed, at least in my neighborhood, that a lot of my neighbors only have to put out once a week, it seems like. Are the haulers realizing that? Is there a risk or is there a reduction in risk from some of these contractors not having to pick up so many bins on a weekly basis because they're so large?
You know, the time we spend in the field, we're not seeing that overall throughout the whole county. Most of the people are using the 2 times a week. I think you're going to find over the holidays and when people have special events. I had my 6 grandchildren in last week. I filled my 95 all the way to the top, so I was happy because everything has to be placed inside the cart. Yes, I think 3 of them would. But to answer your question, I don't see the tonnages seems to remain the same, and you're correct. There are going to be some folks that only use it once a week.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a big change.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to wish everybody happy holidays.
Thank you. Commissioner Berger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to echo the comments made by my fellow commissioners and enjoy the holidays. They only come once a year, and they're so much fun.
Thank you. And Commissioner McKinley?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Pelowitz, you're in luck. Commissioner Bernard is the chair of the Tax and Finance Policy Committee at the Florida Association of Counties, so I'm sure he'll be the whiz kid on advancing that issue for you. I just, in addition to wishing everybody a happy holiday, I really want to thank the staff for your continued work in these blighted grants. Demolition dollars are the hardest to come by. Usually CDBG dollars are the only other source we can use for demo, and it's probably one of the top requests I get in the Glades community, and I'm sure my colleagues in other similarly situated conditions in some parts of their district are feeling the same thing that I'm feeling. So just want to say thank you for that, and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, and enjoy your time with your family.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And I just, I'll echo my colleagues' comments and wishing everybody a very happy holiday season. And I'd like to, of course, thank the staff, the SWA, for all your hard work and the work of everybody throughout the year, taking care of our residents. And then I'd like to thank my fellow members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to chair this meeting today as the vice chair, stepping right in. I do appreciate the assistance I got this morning, so thank you very much. And with that, I believe the last thing to do is we're going to confirm our meeting for February the 19th, 2020 at 9 a.m. In these chambers. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting. Have a great day. Thank you.